Begin, sir.
Sir, please begin.
Oh, so good morning, one and all. And today we have gathered virtually for the a topic that is importance of advanced welding processes in industries. And I welcome you all. So it's my great pleasure for me to introduce our today's guest person, Gaurav Bandhania sir, lecturer at PITDS, and he's having 10 years of experience in the field of academics. So today he's going to present his ideas about the advanced welding processes, and that what are the advanced welding processes that are used in the industries. So now over to Gaurav Bandhania sir.
Thank you, Viral sir. Now, today's our topic is the importance of advanced welding process in industries. Uh, just wait, I share my PPT. Is it visible, Viral sir?
Visible, absolutely fine.
Okay. Uh, okay. First of all, introduce to myself. My name is Gaurav Bandania, working as a lecturer in PITDS in Mechanical Department since 2012. Now, today's our topic is the importance of advanced welding process in industry. First of all, I introduce what is welding process and what is the advantages of welding in fabrication industries as well as in machining industries. Now, first of all, we learn about what is arc welding process. Then after, what is the benefit of advanced welding process, and the third topic which I covered is solid state welding. Now there are basically two categories of welding process. First one is fusion welding process and the second one is solid state welding process. Now the fusion welding process, as we all know about the welding process, the two similar part or dissimilar part which are joined by the filler metal or other adding filler metal, which may be metal or non-metal. So the joint between this metallic is, it means coalescence accomplished by melting the two parts to be joined. In some case, this filler metal is not used, but with applying the pressure, we can join the two similar metal. Now the example of the fusion welding process is like arc welding process, resistance spot welding process, and the oxy-fuel gas welding. And the second one is solid state welding process. As we know that sometimes we require pressurize, sometimes we require pressure for joining two metal or two dissimilar metal. So in solid state welding, heat or pressure is used to achieve the coalescence. But in this process, there is a no melting on the base metal as well as no melting on the filler metal. So there is a example, some examples in solid state weldings like forge welding, diffusion welding, and friction welding. So first of all, we know about what is the arc welding process. What is the arc? What is the importance of the filler metal? What is the importance of the flux? And what is the main parameters which are required during the welding process, like its current, voltage, etc., etc. So first of all, we know about the arc welding process. So arc welding process is a fusion welding process in which a coalescence of the metal is achieved by the heat from an electrical arc between the electrode and the workpiece. In arc welding process, there are mainly two types of polarity. First one is straight polarity and the second one is reverse polarity. Now what is the meaning by polarity? Polarity means the joining of the two portion. It means whenever we joining the metals, two metals, similar or dissimilar metals, there should be two options. First portion is attached to the workpiece, attached to the electrode. Electrode, it may be called as filler metal electrode. So if we connected positive terminal to the workpiece and negative terminal to the electrode, it is called reverse polarity. And if we join the positive terminal to the electrode and the negative terminal attached to the workpiece, it is called reverse polarity. Now, what is the role of reverse polarity and straight polarity? If we use reverse polarity, so negative electron moves from electrode to the workpiece. So the joint can be fast and the joining quality of the welding is good as compared to straight polarity. So in arc welding, electrical energy from the arc produces temperature approximately 10,000 Fahrenheit. It means 5500 centigrade, which is enough for the melt to the workpiece. And the most of the arc welding process add the filler metal. And the main application of the filler metal is to increase the volume and the strength of the weld joint. Now, as I discussed to what is arc. Now the electrical arc is a discharge of electric current across a gap in a circuit. It is sustained by an ionized column of a gas. Now what is the meaning by plasma? So plasma, it is a fourth condition of substance. As you know that there are mainly three conditions of substance, yeah, or any material: solid, liquid and gas. And the plasma is the fourth condition of the materials. It means if we ionize the gas, it is called the fourth condition of the substance. It is called plasma. So it is sustained by an ionized column of a gas through which current flows. To initiate the arc in arc welding, there is some gap in between the lower portion of the electrode and the upper surface of the workpiece. It is called arc gap. If we increase the arc gap, the metal penetration rate, the metal deposition rates from the electrode is low, and if we reduce the if we reduce the arc gap between electrode tip and the working surface, so the proper penetration in the depth of the material is not enough. So the arc gap between the lower tip of the electrode and the above surface of the workpiece is good enough. Now this is a arc welding process, manual metal arc welding process. In the manual metal arc welding process, as I told you that there are two terminals, positive and negative terminal, which are considered from the welding machine. Now, if we connected the negative terminal to the electrode and we join the positive terminal to the workpiece. So this polarity is called reverse polarity. And if this polarity used, the weld joint quality is good as well as the deposition ratio of the filler metal is good as compared to the other process. So as shown in this figure, the molten metal pool is formed near to the electrode tip,
Hello.
and as the electrode is moved along the joint,
Hello.
molten metal pool solidified after a box. It means in
Okay.
arc welding process, we
સરને
use
સબમિટ કરી
two,
દીધું છે
we use two
તો
types
તમારે
of
અમદાવાદ જવું પડશે
power
કારણ કે
supply:
કોઈ એડિશનલ રાઇટ્સ
AC
ને બધા છે
and DC power
ટોટલી
supply.
ત્યાં એક જ હેલ્પ સેન્ટર છે આખા ગુજરાતમાં.
Now, what is the difference in between AC
બીજું ફોર્મ
current
ભર દો
and
આમ
DC
ચાલે
current?
પણ ડુપ્લિકેટ એન્ટ્રી ક્રિએટ થાય તો એના લીધે કદાચ મેરિટ જનરેટ ના થાય ત્યારે દોડવું પડે
Now,
અને ત્યારે કોઈ
these
આપણો હાથ
are
પકડે ના પકડે ના કરતા આ એક સલાહ છે કે ભાઈ જઈને ત્યાં જઈને સોલ્વ કરાવો
hello,
બે બે પ્રોફાઇલ ના ક્રિએટ કરવી.
hello.
અને ત્યાંથી જો તમને એવું કહે કે ના બીજી પ્રોફાઇલ ક્રિએટ કરતો નેક્સ્ટ કરે તો પછી કરી દેજો કારણ કે ફાઇનલ ઓથોરિટી એ લોકો છે.
Hello, Viral sir.
Are audible.
એટલે હેલ્પ સેન્ટર તો કોઈ
Uh,
હેલ્પ સેન્ટર તો છે જ નહીં. એમને કોઈ હેલ્પ સેન્ટર કે
જીતેન
સાયબર સેન્ટર, સાયબર
જીતેન
સ્પેસ.
સરનો અવાજ આવી રહ્યો છે.
હા હા હા
હા, તો
હા.
એમનું કોઈ હેલ્પ સેન્ટર કયું છે નજીકનું? મને એડ્રેસ આપો ને જરાક.
એકચ્યુઅલી મેસેજ લખાશે અહીંયાથી.
હા સર, મેસેજ
એ જ
લખાશે ને.
કહું છું. આ જો એડવર્ટાઇઝમેન્ટ છે ને,
લખો છું.
એડવર્ટાઇઝમેન્ટ જે લોકોએ મૂકી છે, એમાં જો હેલ્પ સેન્ટર ને સાયબર સ્પેસ સેન્ટર લખેલું છે. સાયબર સ્પેસ સેન્ટરનો મતલબ શું હોય? કોઈને ફોર્મ ભરવામાં કંઈ ઇસ્યુ આવતા હોય કે ના સમજાતી હોય ને, તો ત્યાં એક પીસી મૂકેલું હોય, ત્યાં એ લોકો ડાઉટ સોલ્વ કરાવીને જઈ શકે એમના. હા, અને હેલ્પ સેન્ટર એટલે જે તમારી ટેકનિકલ હેલ્પ કરે. તો એ તો આ લોકો જ હોય ને.
હેલો જીતેન સર.
એડવર્ટાઇઝમેન્ટ ચોખ્ખું લખેલું છે. એમને કોઈ હેલ્પ સેન્ટર એટલે કયું હેલ્પ સેન્ટર? ને તો ત્યાં જઈ આવો સારા
જીતેન
મજાનું.
સર.
હમ.
બ્રિજેશ સર, જીતેન સર.
કોઈ નંબર નથી. ઓકે.
Okay, then we will start. Manual metal arc welding. Now there are some problem when we use the manual metal arc welding. Which type of problem we are facing during the fabrication process? So first disadvantage of MMAW manual metal arc welding is the joint which can which when achieved is poor quality. The first one is weld joint quality is poor, and the production ratio, it means the productivity of the fabrication process is slow as compared to the other process. So the arc time from this process is called the arc corner time. If you use this manual metal arc welding, so it means 20% ratio, and if we use this machine welding arc is 50% ratio. Now next one, we require different types of electrode which is used for fulfill the gap between two metallic parts. It is called electrode, welding rod, and filler metal. So now there are basically two types of electrode. The first one is consumable electrode and the second one is non-consumable electrode. Now what is the meaning by consumable electrode? Consumable electrode, it means the electrode is consumption during the welding process. It means it is a melt from top portion to lower portion. It means consumed during the welding process, the source of the filler metal in the arc welding. The non-consumable electrode, it means the role of the electrode is to rise the temperature. The role of the electrode in non-consumable electrode is to rise the temperature. Now, these are the some examples of the welding electrode, consumable electrode. Welding electrodes, its length is approximately 9 to 18 inch, and its diameter is 3 by 10 inch less than or 3 by 10 inch. Now, sometimes this consumable electrode is available in coil form. Sometimes is this electrode is available in the rod form. In MIG welding, consumable electrode available in spool form, and in the TIG welding, non-consumable electrode is available in the rod form. So in both rod and wire the form, electrode is consumed by the arc and added to the weld joint as a filler metal. Now non-consumable, as I told you that most of the most of in the industries, TIG welding, tungsten inert gas welding is used because the properties of the tungsten and the melting point of the tungsten is higher than other material. So in the TIG welding process, tungsten is used which resists the melting. Now next one is gradually depleted during the welding. Any filler metal must be supplied by a separate wire fed into the weld pool. Now these are the arc shielding. Which type of shield create during the arc welding process? At high temperature in arc welding, metals are chemically react with oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen in the air, and this metal is create one type of oxidation. And if we do not reduce this oxidation or these oxygen particles inserted in the liquid metal, which is converted into the one type of defect, weld defects. which is called as a porosity. So during the welding process, we require to produce the shield, which is protected the oxygen, nitrogen, and other gases to add into the liquid metal. Now, mechanical properties joint can be degraded by this reaction. The arc shielding gases, which type of shielding gas which are used in the welding process? Most of the industry use the argon gas. Some industries use helium gas, CO2 gas, and the second role for the shielding, which is completed by the flux. Now, what is the flux? Now, flux is a substance that prevents the formation of the oxides and the other contaminants in the welding. It means oxygen particles, hydrogen particles do not allowed in the liquid metal. So we can prevent we can prevent the defect like porosity. Now, what is the function of the flux? It provides the protective atmosphere for the welding, and the flux is stabilize the arc and reduces the spattering which is produced during the welding process. So these are main three application of the flux. Now, as I told you, there are mainly two types of power sources: AC machine and DC machine. Now, main role of the power source, which type of power source used in the welding machine? Most of industry use DC machine. So, what is the role of AC machine? Now, AC machine is less expensive to purchases and to operate, but this AC machine is generally restricted to some ferrous material. So now, what is the benefit of the DC machine? DC equipment can be used on all metals. It means all types of ferrous metals, and is generally noted for the better arc control. Now, there are basically two types of consumable electrode and non-consumable electrode arc welding process. These are the consumable electrode arc welding process: SMW, shielded metal arc welding process; GMAW, gas metal arc welding process; FCAW, flux core arc welding, electro gas welding, and submerged arc welding process. Now we will discuss basically these three types of welding process: SMAW, GMAW, and SAW welding process. Now, first one is SMAW welding. What is the meaning by shielded metal arc welding process? This welding process is sometimes called stick welding process. Stick welding process. In this welding process, the electrode is coated with the flux. So, if your electrode is coated with the flux, so this electrode is stucking with the base metal. So now, what is the use of this type of welding process? Uses consumable electrode consisting of a filler metal rod coated with chemical that provides flux and the shielding. Now, basic parameters, basic equipment which are required for SMW. The first one is power supply. Which type of power supply used for the SMW? Connecting cables and electrode holder. Now, these are the figure of the SMW welding process. During SMW welding process, this electrode, this just 1 minute. This electrode is coated with flux. So during operation, when we started the welding, this electrode made, as well as this coating of the flux is made, and this flux is coating as converted into one type of shielding, and this shield is protecting from the atmospheric effect. So, from atmosphere, oxygen, nitrogen, and other gases not entered in the liquid metal, and this gas is not entered in the liquid metal. So, the defect may be protective from this flux. Now these are the some composition which are required for the SMW welding process. Which type of coating required for the electrode material? The coating is powdered cellulose mixed with oxides and carbonates. In some cases, this coating is used by the silicate binders. Now, what is welding? Welding stick is a clamp in the electrode holder and connected to the power source. Now, these are all the advantages of the SMW welding process. Now, there are some demerits and some disadvantages of the S7W welding process. Now, the sticks must be periodically changed. If we if we reduce R gap, if we reduce the R gap, so the metal deposition ratio is low, and if we increase the R gap, so properly electrode do not enter in the depth of the base metal. So first disadvantage is sticks must be periodically changed. Now the second one is high current levels may melt coating prematurely. Now these are the application in which type of material SMW welding process is used. Is SMW welding process used for steel, SS, stainless steel, cast iron, and certain non-ferrous alloys. And this process is not used in some metal like aluminum alloys, copper alloys, and the titanium. The second one is GMAW, gas metal arc welding. Now the as as I told you that gas metal arc welding. So which type of gases which are used in the GMAW welding process? So argon gas, helium gas, these mainly gases used in GMAW welding process. And this gas is create a one type of seal which are protecting the liquid metal from the atmospheric effect. And it is reduce the oxidation procedure. Now, uses of a consumable bare metal wire as electrode with sealing by the flooding arc with a gas in which the gases may be argon, helium, etc. Wire is fed continuously and automatically from a spool through the welding gun. Now the shield is generated. Now the shield is generated which is include argon and helium for the aluminum welding, and in the some cases like if we join the steel particles, so we use the carbon dioxide gases. Now in this process the electrode is used bare electrode. Now what is the meaning by bare electrode? Bare electrode means this type of electrode not coated with flux material. So electrode is not coated with flux material, so we require the gases which is produce the one type of shielding. Okay. Now the bare electrode wire plus shielding gases eliminate slag on the weld bead. No need for manual grinding and cleaning of the slag. This is the advantages of GMAW process. No need of cleaning of the slag. Now these are these are the schematic diagram of the GMAW welding process. In this welding process, this is the nozzle cutting torch, and the electrode is coming from this portion, this spool, and this electrode is bare electrode. But electrode is covered with the gases. From this portion, the sealing gas, it may be argon, helium, and CO2 gas. These gases these gases is mixturized and these gases is ionized, and these gases create a one type of shield, and this shield is protecting the liquid metal, molten metal from the atmospheric contaminant. So as you know that as I saw that as a in figure, so that the direction of the welding is from left to right. After is point. If we move the electrode from right side to left side, it means leftward technique. Then after liquid metal from right to left motion, as this joint solidify. Now these are some advantages of GMAW. Better arc time because of the continuous wire electrode in SMAW welding process. If electrode is completed, if electrode is finished, then we require some another electrode. But in the GMAW welding process, bare electrode is coming from the spool. It means continuous electrode which we are using. So the advantages of the GMAW welding process is better arc time due to the continuous wire electrode. Now these are the limitation of the SMAW. Now second advantage is better use of electrode filler metal in SMAW welding process as compared to the GMAW. Now second advantage is the higher metal deposition rate is high as compared to GMAW due to the from continuous arc is deposited from the spool to the liquid metal. Now second advantage is it eliminates problem of the slag removal because as I told you that there is no produce or there is no chances of the slag produce during the GMAW welding process. The slag is as far as low. So advantages is eliminates problem of the slag removal, can be
Hello.
readily automated, can be readily automated. Now
Hello.
the next one, third one is
भारत
SAW,
जनरल रेसिपी सेंटर बोलो.
submerged arc welding process. Now, what is the meaning
हाँ तो
by
एक नंबर
submerged?
नंबर 0265.
In GMAW and SMAW welding process, arc is visible during the welding process, but in SAW welding process, arc is totally submerged. It means the welder do not see the arc during the operation. And the second advantages of the SAW welding process is that SAW welding process is
Hello.
semi-automatic as well as automatic.
0265
Okay.
3586
Now uses
145.
continuous consumable bare wire electrode. If we use bare electrode, so we require some flux or some gases. In this SAW welding process, we use the bare electrode, so we require some flux. And in this welding process, we use granular flux. Now, as I told you that this type of welding process is automatically as well as semi-automatic. Electrode wire is fed automatically from a coil and the flux is inserted into the nozzle with from the flux hopper. The flux introduced into joint slightly ahead of the arc by gravity from a flux hopper. This type of welding process is completely submerged operation if arc is totally submerged. So during the operation from the atmosphere, oxygen particles do not enter in the liquid metal or in the molten metal. So the second advantages of this process is preventing the sparks. Third portion, your arc is totally hidden. So the spatter and the radiation is low as far as compared to the other welding process. It may be SMAW and GMAW process. So these are the advantages of the SAW welding process. Now, as I told you that there are some electrode and from this granular flux upper flux is continuously fed from the upper direction and this consumable electrode is cover mixed with this consumable electrode is mixed with this consumable electrode is mixed with the flux And then after, as your direction of the welding is leftward techniques, then this liquid metal is covered by this granule flux. Now, some applications and some products which are produced by the SAW welding process. Most of the in industries where we require steel fabrication of structure like I-beam, H-beam, this type of welding process is used in some products like pressure vessel, in tanks, in pipes, in longitudinal seam as well as in circular seam. For the joining of the longitudinal seam and the circular seam, SAW welding process is used. Welded components for the heavy machinery, most of the steels except high carbon steel, SAW welding process is used, but there are some disadvantages for the non-ferrous metal. This type of welding process and the joint which are produced by this welding process is not enough for the non-ferrous metal. So most of the ferrous metal can be joined by the SAW welding process. Now, second one is non-consumable electrode process. Which type of non-consumable electrode process? The first one is GTAW, gas tungsten arc welding, plasma arc welding, carbon arc welding, and stud welding. So, we will discuss about two types of non-consumable electrode arc welding process. First one is GTAW, gas arc welding, and the second one is plasma arc welding. So now, first of all, we will discuss about GTAW, gas tungsten arc welding. Now, as I told you that we will discuss about non-consumable electrode. So, what is the role of the non-consumable electrode? So, the main function of the non-consumable electrode is rise the temperature as well as stabilize the temperature from first point to last point. It means starting point to end point of the weld joint. So, which type of G, uh, which type of non-consumable electrode used in GTW? This is used the non-consumable tungsten electrode, and in this type of non-consumable electrode, gases is used for creating the cells, and this shield is protecting the liquid metal or as well as molten metal from the atmospheric contaminants. So, what is the advantages of the tungsten material? The higher melting point temperature of the tungsten material, uh, 3410 centigrade melting point temperature of the tungsten. In tungsten or gas welding, which type of filler metal is used? When the filler metal is used, it is added to a weld pool from the separate rod or wire. It means in a gas tungsten arc welding, this tungsten electrode is used to stabilize the arc, to stabilize the temperature. But as you know that as you know that filler metal must required to fulfill the gap between the two objects. So in this gas tungsten arc welding, filler metal is in the form of the rod form. Now, what is the application of the GTW? Now, the application is mainly used for in aluminum and SS in the most of the cases. Now, these are the schematic diagram of the GTW. From in this nozzle, these are the tungsten electrode, and from this side, the shielding gas is inserted, and whenever we attach the supply, positive and negative terminal as per requirement. After that, whenever we started the supply, this shielding gas is create the one type of layer. And this layer is protect the liquid metal from the atmospheric contact. As I told you that the melting point temperature of the tungsten is high. So higher melting point due to the higher melting point temperature, after some time the temperature of this inner side of the nozzle may be high. So the protection, for the protection of the nozzle, outer side, inner side of the nozzle, there are one water cooling system required. There are one water cooling system required. This water cooling system is reduce the higher temperature to the lower temperature. Okay. Now these are the some advantages and disadvantages. The first one is high quality welds for the suitable application. There are no spatter because no filler metal through the arc, little or no post weld cleaning because no flux. If we use flux, so there are possibility of the spatter will be generated, but here we do not use the flux, so the spatter do not spatter do not generate. Now, what is the disadvantage of the GTW? Generally, slower and more costly than the consumable electrode welding process. This process is slower process. As you know that the surface quality is good as compared to metal inert gas welding, but the process is slow as compared to the other process, and this process is more costly because the costing of the tungsten material as well as the total structure of the nozzle is covered by water cooling system. So initial cost of this process is high as compared to the other process. Now the next one is plasma arc welding process. Now what is the plasma? So plasma is a fourth condition of any substance or material. It means if we ionize the gases, these gases is converted into plasma condition. Okay. Now the special form of a GTW in which constrained plasma is directed at the weld area. Now in this plasma arc welding process, the main advantages of this plasma arc welding process is this welding process is produce the higher temperature at the electronic tip. Which type of higher process? 28,000 centigrade. 28,000 centigrade temperature is produced by the plasma arc welding process. These are the schematic diagram of the plasma arc welding process. In this welding process, this is a nozzle in which this is a tungsten electrode, and between this tungsten electrode and the nozzle inner side sealing gas is inserted, and after attaching the supply, this sealing gas is ionized and is converted into the plasma form, and this is a plasma stream. With the help of this plasma stream, we can join the metal, and also advantages of this plasma arc welding process is that we can join the major thickness like 150 mm thick material. 150 mm thick material can be joined by this plasma arc welding process. So these are the two main advantages. First advantage is higher temperature can be joined by plasma welding process, which is nearby 28,000 centigrade. And the second one is the major thickness of 150 mm material can be joined by the plasma welding process. Now these are the advantages and disadvantages. Good arc stability, better penetration, high travel speed, and can be used for the all types of the metal. But there are some demerits, some disadvantages plasma welding process. The first is it is costly at initial level. The equipment is costly, initial cost is high as compared to the other, and a larger torch size than the arc welding process. thought size is higher as compared to the other process. Now, as our title of the webinar is Advanced Welding Process, so I discussed about different types of welding process. Now I will discuss about mainly which type of advanced welding process which are useful for the industries. As I told you that there should be mostly requirement of the filler metal to join the similar metal or dissimilar metal. But in some of the welding process, filler metal is not required. Filler metal is not required. But some with the help of some way, like with the help of laser, with the help of electronic beam, with the help of ultrasonic welding process, with the help of thermic welding process, we can join two similar part or dissimilar part. So there are many types of advanced welding process, but we will discuss about mainly four types of advanced welding process. First one is EBW, electron beam welding process. The second one is LBW, laser beam welding process. Third one is USW, ultrasonic welding process, and the fourth one is thermic welding process. So the first one is EBW, electron beam welding process. As the name of the electron, it means there are the there are the some tungsten filament. There are the one electronic gun from which tungsten filament is constantly flow constant tungsten sorry, there are the some electronic gun from which the electron may be constantly flow in a beam to the object, but this flow of the electronic beam, it is in the chamber. It it is called vacuum chamber. It is called vacuum chamber. So the which type of vacuum chamber, which type of voltage, which type of current is required from the EBW welding process. Now the electron beam gun operates high voltage 10 to 150 kilowatt, and the beam currents are low. The power in the electron beam welding is not exceptional, but power density is high. So EBW welding process, so there are basically three levels in EBW. First one is high vacuum, second one is medium vacuum, and the third one is non-vacuum. Now, what is the meaning by vacuum chamber in the EBW welding process? Vacuum, it means this welding process is totally operated in the chamber, and the air percentage is zero in the chamber. So it is called the vacuum chamber. Now, what is the meaning by high vacuum? In welding, some vacuum chamber has beam generation to produce the highest quality level. If we use high vacuum welding, so the quality level of the welding is high. Now the second one is medium vacuum welding. So in this type of vacuum chamber, the quality of the welding is low as compared to the high vacuum chamber. And the third one is non-vacuum. It means our particles, our material is not put in the chamber, it is out of the chamber. So the weld quality is lesser as compared to the high and medium vacuum chamber. The advantages of the EBW, first one is high quality welds, and the joining of the metal is deep and narrow profile, limited of the HAZ, it means height affected zone. The thermal distortion is as far as low as compared to the other welding process, and there is no requirement of the flux or the gases, which is main advantages of the advanced welding process, because we have discussed about advanced welding process. Main benefit of the advanced welding process is that there is no requirement of the filler metal, and also there is no requirement of the shielding gases like argon and helium. So these are the advantages. Now the sum of the limitation of the EBW. The first one is initial cost as well as the equipment cost is high. The second one is precise joint preparation and alignment is required. If we require precise, so you should alignment to the object. Now the vacuum chamber is required. So first of all, you should require you should require to totally air sucked from the chamber. It means the air percentage is zero in the chamber. Now next one, we use electron. So the safety should require must. The last one is safety concern EBW generate X-rays. Now these are the disadvantages of EBW. So this is the first advanced welding process EBW. Now the second one is LBW. Now what is the meaning by laser? Now the full form of the laser is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. It means in this laser beam welding process, light is amplified. Light is amplified by the stimulated emission of radiation. Now, as we know that the flow of the light, flow of the ray is not constant. So, in laser beam welding, we should must require focusing lens. We should must require focusing lens, and this lens is focusing all types of the ray in one point, which are joined by the laser beam welding process. Now, what is the meaning by laser beam welding process? This is the fusion welding process in which coalescence is achieved by energy of the highly concentrated coherent light beam focus on the joint. In laser beam welding process, normally performed with sealing gases which are preventing oxidation. Filler metal not usually added, not required. Benefit of the LBW is that higher power density in the smaller area. If we required in the micron size for joining of the parts, two parts in micron size, in glass, in ceramic, in plastic, in glass, in ceramic, in plastic, we should mainly use for LBW building process. So LBW often used for small parts, as I told you that, and also used for glass, ceramic, and plastic material. Now, second advantages, it means second comparison between two advanced welding process, LBW versus EBW. So in EBW welding process, vacuum is must, but in LBW welding process, vacuum is not required. First one is no vacuum chamber required for the LBW. Second one, no X-ray emitted in the LBW. Third one, the laser beam can be focused and directed by the optical lens as well as the focusing lens, because in this type of welding process, LBW welding process, the ray of the laser, the direction of the laser is not in a proper way. So with the help of the focusing lens, this direction of the ray concentrate on the workpiece, and with the help of the mirror. LBW not capable of the deep weld and high depth to the width ratio of EBW. Now, what is the difference between which type of depth can be joined by this both process? First one, maximum LBW depth is 19 mm, and whereas EBW depth is 50 mm. Now these are the main difference in between LBW and EBW. Now the third one is thermic welding process. Now what is the meaning by thermit? So thermit is a mixture of both contaminants. First one is aluminum and the second one is Fe3O4, and this both contaminant is available in the powder form, and I show you that these are the one type of your crucible. In this crucible, this both contaminant aluminum Fe3O4 are powder form, and then after with the help of the furnace, these both particles are converted into liquid form, and this liquid is pouring in this crucible, and after that with the help of mold, this type of process is mainly used to join the railway track. It means these are the first one track, these are the two track. This two track is joining by the thermic welding process. Now for joining this gap, we require one types of the mold. So here the mold
મહિનો ના લાગે
are mold by
મહિનો જેવું ના લાગે આ લોકો
wax.
રિજેક્ટ કરી દેશે
Then after wax,
રિજેક્ટ કરી દેશે
this mold is prepared, and with the help of this crucible
ઓરિજિનલ જ
at
જોશે
this bottom level of the crucible, this is
એ
the
ઓપન
one type
યુનિવર્સિટી
stepping
ઓપન
hole.
યુનિવર્સિટી આ લોકો ઓરિજિનલ જ
After
ચલાવશે
this stepping hole, after this stepping hole is open, this liquid metal is
પાછળથી રિજેક્ટ
pouring
કરી દે ને પછી
into
ડેટ
the
જતી રહે
gap,
એટલે એકદમ
and
બગડી
after look like this.
જાય
After this pouring
બે દિવસ પછી કરી દે
aluminum
તો કરી જાય
Fe3O4, after
અને
some time,
2 મહિને ઈ કરે
both both
કારણ કે જ્યારે
two parts
જ્યારે
both parts
ક્લોઝર
are
કરે ને ત્યારે એ લોકો એક સાથે
joined by
બધું ચેક
the
કરતા હોય
thermic
એક
welding
સેકન્ડ
process.
વેરિફિકેશન થતું હોય
And after that, there are some slag is produced on
સ્કૂલમાં
the
પૂછો ને આવી જશે 2 4 દિવસમાં તો
top
લાગ્યો
part of the
એમાં
weld
આપી
track.
દેશે
And
એમને બી બધાને મળી જતો 12th
weld,
સાયન્સ 12th કોમર્સ છે ને
this weld
આપી
is
દેશે
form into the slag. Now, these are
રિઝલ્ટ
the
આવી
some
ગયા ઇન્ટરનેટ કોપી છે
applications. These are the some applications of thermic welding process. As I told you that thermic welding process is mainly used to joining of the rolled rails, repair of the cracks in large steels, casting and the forging. Weld surface is open. Weld
સ્કૂલમાં પૂછજો
surface is
અઠવાડિયામાં આપી દેશે
open smooth enough
બાકી બધા
that
ડોક્યુમેન્ટ લઈ લો
no
બધું લઈ લો
is.
જેમ જ આવી જાય ને ફોટો પાડીને મોકલી દેજો એટલે અમે
The
પ્રોસેસ
last
ચાલુ
one
કરાવી
is
દઉં
advanced.
અત્યારના
Last
આગળ લાગે
advanced welding process is that
પ્રોસેસ સ્ટાર્ટ નહીં કરીએ અમે
ultrasonic welding process.
વાંધો નહીં આના ફોટા પાડી દેજો
હા બધા પાડે છે ઝેરોક્સ પણ એ લાયા જ છે
ઓકે
આ એમની લિવિંગ સર્ટિફિકેટ આધાર કાર્ડ
હમ
Now last one is ultrasonic welding process. In ultrasonic welding
આધાર
process,
કાર્ડ
one
ફોટા લીધું
transducer is used.
ફોટાને પાડી
One
દેજો
transducer is used, which are required for the converting electrical energy into mechanical
બધાને
energy.
ફોટોસ મોકલી
Like this is the one type of transducer in which
નહીં
the
યાર
higher frequency waves is converted into the mechanical energy. As we supply the AC or DC supply as per requirement,
ગુજરાતી છે
this velocity
ગુજરાતી
transducer
ઓકે
generate higher
હમ
frequency,
સેકન્ડરીમાં
and this velocity transducer converted
છે
electrical energy into mechanical energy.
એટલે કહે છે
આમાં
And
તો ફર્સ્ટ હિન્દી
the top portion of the transducer, there is a one sonotone tip. There is a one
આ
sonotone
હિન્દી
tip.
સોરી
અને
આમાં ઇંગ્લિશ
With the help of these particles, this
હમ
transducer continuously vibrate. The continuous vibrate, and with this continuous vibration, these
આ
both
બતાવી
particles
ગુજરાતી
are joining. Now these are the process, and during this process, if
હા
we applying the forces on the
હેલો
downward side with the help
હેલો
of vibratory motion, these
હા દેખાય
both parts are joined. Okay, so mainly which type of joint
સબમિટ કરી દીધું એટલે
can
ડોક્યુમેન્ટ
be
સબમિટ થઈ ગયો ડેટા
generated by the ultrasonic welding process. The first one is
ગવર્મેન્ટના
generally
ડેટા સબમિટ થઈ ગયો હવે
straightforward
બધા
method.
જે રાઇટ્સ છે
મને
Second
ખાલી
one is closed
સિસ્ટમના
loop
રાઇટ્સ
method.
બધા જ સિસ્ટમના બધા લોકો પાસે જોઈને
Now
ગવર્મેન્ટ
these
પાસે
are the some application of ultrasonic welding process. First
પેમેન્ટ
one is
ટેક્સથી આપો
wire termination and the splicing in the
તમારો
electrical
રિઝલ્ટ
and
આપો ને
electronic
પછી તમને
industry.
આવશે
Eliminates need for the soldering, assembly of the aluminum sheet metal panels, welding of tubes of the sheets in the solar panel,
ડેટ લખી દે
and assembly of the small parts in the automotive industry.
બીએ છે ને એટલે 6900 100 રૂપિયા પાછા આપવાના
Okay, these are the from my side. Thank you. Thank you so much. Middle sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So,
Okay.
on
Huh.
behalf of Parallel University and Mechanical Engineering Department, we would like
તો
to
લખી
thank you
લેજો
so much, sir, for having a grand knowledge regarding the weldings. Thank you so much, sir. I hope that students have learned so many things from the different types of welding that are used in the industries. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Gaurav, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir.